Tonight on CBC Vancouver News. Music off.
Everybody kind of just moved quickly and calmly out of the area.
A new wildfire forces hundreds of festival goers in Princeton to flee as other properties are also put on evacuation order. Plus, big provincial honors.
I thought they've got to have made a mistake. 2 nurses from the downtown east side? Really?
How to do real low barrier care.
From longtime healthcare workers to Deadpool, 14 people have been appointed to the Order of BC. And a deep-sea canoe on a mission.
There will be no healthy living systems of life on the earth if the ocean's not healthy.
A piece of Polynesian history sails to Vancouver with a message.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Good evening, I'm Dan Burwood. Thanks for joining us. Anita is away tonight. What was supposed to be a fun music festival in British Columbia turned into dark last night after a nearby wildfire forced hundreds of people to evacuate. It's the latest disruption in a wildfire season that has ravaged this province. Yasmin Ghanea has our top story.
Residents capturing a fire, creating chaos this long weekend for up to 1,000 people attending the Under the Stars Music Festival near Princeton, BC. They were suddenly ordered to evacuate due to the fire burning about 11 kilometers from the town.
Because of the location of the festival itself, there's only one access in. It's on a private property, and they had to do a tactical evacuation of the area.
Princeton RCMP say the inferno was started by an ATV that caught fire Sunday evening, sparking the wildfire that quickly spread.
We were the first people packing up our tent and slowly just telling our neighbors.
A disappointment for artist Saint Soldier, who was supposed to perform at the festival before police and emergency crews ordered everyone to go.
Everybody kind of just moved quickly and calmly out of the area. The next struggle was to find a place to sleep.
The fire is happening at the same time that Princeton is hosting several events. A Princeton hockey team lent its bus to help people get out of the area.
We're really attacking it right now.
Water bombers have started fighting the fire, but it's now more than 15 hectares and considered out of control. Meanwhile, the Adams Lake wildfire continues to burn near Kamloops. Residents of nearly 100 properties haven't been able to return since last week.
We were quite excited to spend the long weekend out there. To find out that we were being evacuated was not what we wanted to hear.
Good job here.
In total, there are about 400 active wildfires in BC, half of them considered out of control in a summer that's been full of danger and disruption. Yasmin Ghanea, CBC News, Vancouver.
Fire crews in North Vancouver, meanwhile, were busy this afternoon putting out a blaze at the base of Grouse Mountain. Smoke was spotted just before 2 p.m. above Skyline Drive, not far from Powerline Trail, as you can see. The on-duty district fire chief says 4 trucks were able to douse it quickly. It's not yet clear what sparked those flames, and there are no reports of injuries. Darius Madavi joins us now with the forecast and the latest fire danger rating across our big province.
Yes, the province released the new fire danger map earlier this afternoon, and you can see that we've gotten worse in the northeast, mostly because we didn't see rain for a couple days there, and it really quickly shot back up. Meanwhile, in the southeast, we've seen a little bit of a reprieve. It's come down just a little bit because we've seen some showers move through that area as a result of this low-pressure system just south of the border. The high pressure that was keeping the entire south of the province dry has retreated and shrunk a bit into the central parts of the province, allowing this low to push some precipitation up the north and central coast, and this low to give some rain and also some instability, driving some lightning strikes in the southeast. So hopefully that rain will keep that fire danger low enough to prevent any new fire starts. Over the next 24 hours, you can expect plenty of rain along the coast, not quite reaching Vancouver, it seems, until maybe tomorrow evening at the earliest.
Okay, we'll watch for it. Darius, thanks very much.
Thank you.
To another fire now. People in 4 homes in Port Moody will not be able to return for some time after a large blaze that police are now treating as suspicious. 4 people, including an off-duty firefighter, were briefly sent to hospital after the blaze out in the Heritage Woods area just before 5 this morning. The fire chief says crews rescued 3 people off a balcony and moved out dozens more from nearby units. They also rescued several pets, but some are still missing. The department says the fire was so hot it melted vinyl siding on houses across the street. Port Moody police say major crime detectives are now involved, and a Vancouver clinic says a veterinarian and her 2 sons are among those forced out of the home with just the clothes they had on. A fundraiser has now been started to support her family. Well, on this BC Day, more than a dozen British Columbians are being appointed to the Order of BC, the province's highest form of recognition. Joel Ballard caught up with 2 recipients, a pair of nurses who dedicated their lives to serving others.
My husband won't recognize me anyway.
It's the easy banter of a decades-long friendship, forged through their work as nurses on Vancouver's downtown east side.
We've had a very long career and a career together, which is highly unusual.
Ivana Brennan and Susan Giles are two of the recipients of this year's Order of BC.
I burst out crying. I just thought, what? And I thought, they've got to have made a mistake. 2 nurses from the downtown east side? Really?
Thank you, sweetheart.
The pair have worked on these streets for more than 40 years, through the HIV epidemic, growing homelessness, and the toxic drug crisis.
It was before the word harm reduction was coined
Yes.
that we were learning about needle exchange and that kind of thing, right? And how to do real low barrier care, which, you know, as nurses, we think we have so much power. We're the nurse and you're not. Well, no, that doesn't work.
To many people living here, Ivana and Susan were known affectionately as Mama and Auntie, handing out their personal phone numbers. With a blue knapsack filled with medical supplies slung over their shoulders, they brought accessible care anywhere.
So you had to have a home, a phone, and a family and friends. Well, they had none of those things. So trying to find people, go to where they are at, might be in a bar, might be under a stairwell, might be in a park.
Over the years, the women have seen a lot. Their work focused on empathy, most of the time.
But we have no empathy for mice. Anybody that had mice in their rooms, I said, I'm sorry, but
We would
your
scream and run out the
leg might
door.
have to fall off because I can't do it with a mouse in your room. Inside a bagel bag, if you can believe it.
The Order of BC recognizes exceptional British Columbians who have made an outstanding provincial, national, or international impact. The pair are among 14 recipients this year, including Deadpool himself, Ryan Reynolds.
Well, I went to high school in Kitsilano High, and so did Ryan Reynolds. So you see, we have a connection.
Oh, yeah.
Might be a few years apart,
sure.
but
You could be his mother.
I know, yes.
A ceremony will be held in the fall, their legacy forever cemented.
Really sends us out in style.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it really sends us out.
And also recognizes through us the fact that folks that live in the downtown east side matter. They're not just throwaway people.
Cheers. Cheers.
Joel Ballard, CBC News, Vancouver.
This year's Order of BC recipients also include Dr. Penny Ballum of Vancouver, Ivana Brennan of Vancouver, Dr. Jane Buxton of Vancouver, along with Peter Cullis of Vancouver, Sam Feldman of Vancouver, Gordon Fife of Saanich, along with Susan Giles, also from Vancouver, Bing Giraud of Winlaw, Chief Councillor Harold Layton from Prince Rupert, as well as Susan E. Paish of North Vancouver, George C. Rifle of Vancouver, some guy named Ryan Reynolds, apparently he lives in New York, Daljit Thind is also on the list, also from Vancouver, and Patricia Warwick of Surrey. Well done, all. So what does BC Day mean to you? For some, it's an occasion to celebrate our province's rich history and diversity. Our Arthi Thayaparan hit the streets of Vancouver today to ask.
Are you guys doing anything fun for BC Day today?
Oh, we're going to the beach and playing tennis.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah. Any other plans?
We drove all the way to Calgary, from Calgary to do this, to visit our daughter.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. And we're going to walk to the beach.
You guys come out here often to visit her?
Every summer.
Yep.
Oh, every summer?
Every August. It's beautiful out here.
Yeah. And does BC Day mean anything to you? Is it significant in any way?
Just a nice holiday in the summer.
It was good. I caught the Pride Parade yesterday, and that was really fun. And we're going to go for dinner with my parents later on, so it's pretty relaxed.
Does BC Day mean anything to you? Is it significant in any way?
Not really, other than it's a holiday and I love to live here.
Well, we got together from the North Shore and we've been cycling for a few hours now. Very slow, easy bike ride, good friends.
Does BC Day mean anything to you?
For me, it's just enjoying this beauty. Like it is so beautiful here that celebrating the beauty of BC more than anything else.
To other news now, striking workers at a Richmond hotel are urgently calling on their employer to come to the bargaining table. They say some staff are struggling to pay for just the basics. As Saurabh Sandhu explains, they're hoping to settle a dispute around pay that has lingered since June.
Shailene Arnold shares a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 other people in Richmond.
And it still is costing me half or more of my monthly income every month just for rent and utilities alone.
Shailene is a barista at the coffee shop at Sheraton Vancouver Airport Hotel. For nearly 2 months, she has been on a strike, along with the Hotel Employees Union demanding fair wages from their employer. But even after months of job action, there's been little movement between the two sides.
We had negotiations set up with the hotel for July 21st, a few weeks ago. The hotel canceled those negotiations, and surprisingly to our union, they are refusing to meet with us at this point.
CBC News reached out to Sheraton Vancouver Airport Hotel for a comment, but did not hear back by deadline. In June, the BC Labour Relations Board found the hotel in violation of the Labour Code. It says Sheraton Vancouver brought in unlawful replacement workers to do the jobs of those on the picket line.
The Sheraton, the Marriott, and the Hilton Vancouver Airport hotels are all operated by the same company. And the Labour Board ruled that the Sheraton cannot move guests from this hotel on strike to the other two hotels.
And for the time being, workers on strike are banking on support from other labour unions.
A lot of flight crews stay in those hotels around the airport in Richmond, and they're diverting their pilots and flight crews to other union hotels that obviously aren't behind a picket line.
And when it comes to workers on strike, they say they just want to feel valued.
The majority of us workers are women and people of color. And I just think that they just feel that the work we do maybe just isn't important enough.
This is hard on the workers because, of course, it's a struggle to not have a stable paycheck and not have your steady work hours being on strike.
Workers on strike say their picketing will continue daily until a settlement is reached. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Vancouver.
A group of ranchers in BC's East Kootenay say it is time provincial fencing rules were more strongly enforced. Right now, under BC's farming practices, private landowners are responsible for fencing to keep livestock out, regardless of whether the animals are moving in from Crown land. As the CBC's Corey Bullock shows us, the ranchers say it's all coming down to a safety issue.
Randy Ray is a third-generation cattle farmer in the East Kootenay. He's afraid of losing the family business.
You know, we can't continue to be a viable industry if we continue to lose the ability to access this Crown range.
Ray has several Crown land tenures on which his cattle graze, but he says some of them he can no longer use because of a lack of fencing. BC's Trespass Act states that it's the landowner's responsibility to put up and maintain fence between their properties.
People's lives are in jeopardy.
He and others like Suzanne Carter know firsthand the consequences. In 2013, one of her cows traveled through unfenced private land and onto the highway.
It resulted in an innocent motorist killing one of my cows and losing his life.
According to the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, or MOTI, livestock owners are responsible for keeping their animals off of public highways, and fencing along the Canadian Pacific-Kansas City rail line is the responsibility of the railway.
There's a lot of railway fence that runs through private and Crown Range tenures in our province, and it has been neglected for a few years, and it causes a multitude of issues for people trying to run cattle.
MOTI contributes $1 million every year to the provincial livestock fencing program, but Ray says he can't afford to fence everyone else's land.
It is not reasonable to expect a rancher to go out and build those fences.
In an earlier statement to CBC News, the Ministry of Forests explained that livestock laws say it's not the responsibility of cattle farmers to keep cows on their property. Instead, it's the responsibility of others to build fences to keep the cattle out. And the ranchers want this strictly implemented. They hope the provincial and federal governments will step in and help find a solution. Corey Bullock, CBC News, Cranbrook.
If you've ever skipped a meal because you're running a bit late, perhaps on transit, you have another option for snacks coming. Starting this month, Lower Mainland SkyTrain users can grab a quick bite from a vending machine, even sushi. Passengers can roll up to select stations and get one of these packages from Coquitlam-based business Sushi Mori. They've offered up a handful of items from their menu. You can also get pizza and some sweet treats. 3 machines are being tested right now in Coquitlam Central, Lafarge, Lake Douglas stations, as well as Lonsdale Quay. They'll be fully up and running by Wednesday. A piece of Polynesian history is making its way around Vancouver for the public to explore. Hokulea is the first deep-sea canoe to be launched from Hawaii in 600 years and has sailed around the world twice already. We caught up with its crew, who shared why they're taking this journey.
This canoe is called Hokulea. Hoku means star, Lea means gladness. It was fragments of information that were still with us when this canoe was constructed because we forgot so much in the last 200 years. Moana Nui Akea is the name of this particular voyage. And every voyage is designed to sail for a meaningful purpose, something that's important. Why are we doing this? Why are we sailing around the Pacific Rim and also into the Pacific Islands? It's because fundamentally we believe, as students of navigation, watching nature and listening, that there will be no healthy living systems of life on the earth if the ocean's not healthy. And if we kill the oceans, we kill ourselves. And the thing we're trying to find is where is love lie? Where does it really love? Because if you love something, you'll protect it. One is home and one is family. So we're looking at trying to connect families around the Pacific in some way through education to be able to help us figure out the sail plan for the future.
Coming up, a plot to murder Ukraine's president. We'll tell you what happened after the break. And thank you for watching our commercial-free live stream tonight. A homeowner in Charlottetown says he's prepared to challenge a city bylaw in court. He's been warned he needs to cut his grass or be slapped with a fine. He says the city's rules on grass length are not only unfair, they're unconstitutional. More now from Steve Bruce.
Around Mike Ross's yard, most of the grass has been cut, but a few sections have been left all summer to grow naturally.
Well, it's prevented a lot of foot traffic, people letting their dogs use the washroom, litter and things like that. And we just happen to like the way it looks. You know, we live on PEI. This is PEI soil. And this year we wanted to see what PEI soil would do if it's left to grow on its own. This ticket is being issued as a warning with...
But in late June, Ross got this notice from the city, warning him he had 30 days to cut all the grass per Charlottetown's unsightly premises bylaw. It says that grass on city properties must be maintained at a height of 150 millimeters or less. That's just shy of 6 inches. Ross hasn't listened, though. He's waiting to get a ticket and plans to challenge the bylaw in court, a bylaw largely enforced only when complaints come in.
So why am I going to submit to the aesthetic values of somebody else on my own property? It doesn't hurt anybody. I do not exige what somebody else does to their property or their yard, and I definitely won't have, the mayor tell me how to enjoy my yard.
I've been doing this for...
Similar bylaws do exist in many towns and cities across PEI and the country, and they have caused some controversy. Back in the mid-90s, this natural lawn proponent challenged Toronto's rules in court and won. An Ontario court ruled that the bylaw violated her freedom of expression under the Canadian Charter. Today, some communities, including Stratford, do allow residents to apply to keep part of their lawn natural. Charlottetown, though, doesn't allow for that. On the streets today, opinions on the grass length rules were mixed.
There should be some kind of rules to, force people that don't want to take care of their lawn to do so the whole town will look nice and proper. That's what I think.
I'm most concerned about the environment, so I figure, if people want to grow wildflowers, if they want to let their grass grow a little bit long, I'm fine with that.
Now, no one from the city was made available for an interview on this today. A spokesperson did send us a statement essentially saying that residents who don't like the rules can take their concerns to city council. Ross says he has emailed a couple councillors and the mayor who told him he's welcome to challenge the rules in court. That's what he plans to do. Steve Bruce, CBC News, Charlottetown.
We have new details now on an alleged plot to assassinate Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Ukraine's security service claimed it was foiled after a Russian informant was caught red-handed trying to pass on details of Zelensky's planned visit to a southern region of Ukraine. Officials say if she'd been successful, a Russian airstrike could have killed the president and destroyed munitions stored nearby. Meanwhile, Ukrainian officials also say a pair of Russian missiles have hit a residential neighborhood in the Donetsk region. At least 5 people have been killed and more than 30 hurt. Pictures from the area show rescue efforts even at a high-rise. They were expected to continue through the night. Britain has begun a controversial new plan to house asylum seekers on the water. The UK government says it's using a barge in a small community on its south coast as a temporary alternative to hotels. Largely seen as a cost-cutting move, the government also hopes the plan will discourage more refugees from flocking to the UK. Officials say the barge could ultimately house up to 500 men. There are about 50,000 asylum seekers in Britain right now. And it's 6:20, almost 2. A live look at the waters of Deep Cove. Another sunny day across the south coast and other parts of beautiful BC. Darius will have your province-wide weather forecast right after this.
This old trolley bus pulls around the bend, the excitement ramps up. These Historian bus fans are getting the rare chance to ride an antique model, long gone from Vancouver's city streets, something these enthusiasts couldn't be happier about.
We love buses. Yeah, pretty much.
I love this bus. It's old, it's fascinating, but it still runs really well, and it's a piece of history.
Riding on 2416 is in some ways like being a kid again. So I remember on the ones in Winnipeg, when it got up to a high speed, the vibration would often surround me, feel refreshing, invigorating.
This bus was built in 1954 and was in operation for about 30 years until heading into retirement in the 1980s. But today it looks much like it would have looked back in the day. So it still has all the green leather seats and the advertisements you would have seen through the years up on the walls. The trolley doesn't have many features we've come to expect on modern buses, but all of that's just fine for driver Angus McIntyre. He drove these for much of his 41-year career, so getting back on this one's a treat.
Well, they have manual steering, and you have to work to turn corners, and the pedals are a little heavy. They're fun. They're funky. They've got a history to them. Heads turn. You go down the street, people just can't believe it.
The bus is on the streets to commemorate 70 years of trolley buses in the city. Trolleys are not the most common form of transit. Vancouver's the only city in Canada to have them, and one of 6 in North America. McIntyre says there's lots to love about them.
They're electric, they're non-polluting, they carry a lot of people in the city.
But it's not just the bus that these passengers love, it's getting the chance to share their passion with others.
I really like that there's other people that also like buses beside me.
Now we all do it together, and everybody on these tours knows each other. It's always the same crowd. It's awesome, you know?
But this model is only out for a short time. After this month, it'll be back in the garage, taking a snapshot of history with it. Mickey Cowan, CBC News, Vancouver.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
Support sustainable agriculture and celebrate local food with Margaret Gallagher at Feast of Fields. Enjoy the Gourmet Harvest Festival at the Stable Harvest Farms on September 10th. Tickets at farmfolkcityfolk.ca. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC Vancouver's e-newsletter at cbc.ca/Vancouver inbox and keep connected with us.
Darius Mahdavi returns with a full weather forecast for us. But before we start in BC, on BC Day, something overseas you have to tell us about.
Yes, well, last time we checked in with the typhoon off the coast of Southeast Asia, we saw that it was heading towards South Korea, but things have changed somewhat since then. The new official forecast instead has it going before it was saying it was going through Japan. Now it says it's going through South Korea up into North Korea. It's going to strengthen temporarily back into a typhoon. Currently, it's a severe tropical storm, back into a typhoon before it heads into South Korea. The winds should be fairly high, close to 100 kilometers per hour, so we will be on the lookout for any severe impacts we see there. Now, it's no typhoon, but we are seeing some rain here in BC as well. That high-pressure system shrinking, some more moving out of the central part of the province. So we're going to see rain blanket the province by tomorrow afternoon, but not quite making it to Victoria or Vancouver, more than likely. Potentially, we'll see a few scattered showers throughout Vancouver. But by Wednesday afternoon, we're going to be seeing that rain come here to Vancouver and then again blanket the province. By Thursday, it's starting to shrink again, the area that we're seeing that rain. By Friday and into the weekend, we'll have another high-pressure system likely set up in the south of the province. So enjoy the rain while it's here. You can see that tomorrow we're going to be seeing plenty of rain through the province, as we saw, but probably dry in Victoria and Vancouver. And then through the week, just some more sun to come after those showers finish.
Nice to see the province covered in green, at least for a short time. Yes. Thank you, Darius.
Thank you.
Vancouver's 45th annual Pride Parade brought tens of thousands of people to the streets of downtown Vancouver yesterday, including yours truly and a big group of us from here at CBC Vancouver. The event has been held since 1978. This year, the route was expanded and changed to make it more accessible for more people to take part. We're going to leave you tonight with some highlights. Have a good night.